I'm Dan Carell, CEO of the Digital Commerce Alliance, and this is Commerce Code, a bi-weekly digital commerce podcast for leaders in card linking, loyalty and digital marketing, mobile wallets and payments, and financial data. Thanks for joining this running conversation with leaders in the industry. And if you like this podcast, come join us at a Digital Commerce Alliance event. You can learn more at www.digcomall.org. Consumers who are actively engaged with a brand spend 40% more than those who aren't. But the average American is a member of over 16 loyalty programs. They can't fully engage with that many programs, so how can companies keep consumer attention? A difference maker here is that loyalty program members who redeem their points or miles spend more than non-loyalty members. Some studies have found they spend over 160% more. Disengaged members don't spend their points, and there are a lot of them. Nearly half of loyalty program accounts are inactive, with consumers not tracking or redeeming points. PayPal estimates that a third of rewarded points go unused each year in the U.S. That's $10 billion stuck between the couch cushions. It's a huge opportunity for merchants because consumers who spend points also spend more rupees, pounds, dirhams, and dollars. So, how do we get consumers to be more engaged in their loyalty programs? This week, I'm talking with Paras Joshi and Kelli Hobbs of Valuedynamx. Paras is the Strategy and Development Officer, and Kelli is the VP and Head of U.S. Business Development. Valuedynamx is a leading global provider of purchase rewards. They're part of Collinson, which provides a leading global travel ecosystem. They've got a perspective on these challenges, and they have a significant program announcement to make, to boot. Today, Kelli, Paras, and I are talking about challenges in the increasingly competitive loyalty space, ways to maintain or enhance engagement among loyalty program members, and how to increase value to consumers and merchants by making program points redeemable where consumers want to redeem them most. There's lots to discuss, so stay tuned for Innovations in Pay with Points, a conversation with Kelli Hobbs and Paras Joshi of Valuedynamx. This episode of Commerce Code is brought to you by Agio, a global leader in engagement platform technologies that create compelling experiences, foster people connections, and cultivate brand advocates worldwide. With more than 45 years of experience, Agio empowers Fortune 500 companies to deliver extraordinary brand experiences for employees, consumers, channel partners, subscribers, and members. Fueled by a holistic engagement ecosystem across workplace engagement, experiential, social activation, customer loyalty, and digital asset experiences, Agio's mission is inspiring people to achieve more, one interaction, transaction, and experience at a time. Agio. Engagement Unleashed. Paras and Kelli, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Commerce Code. Really excited about this conversation. I know you're joining us from a couple different locations. Where are you coming to us from?
Hi, Dan. Thanks so much for having us. I am joining you from Minneapolis, Minnesota in the U.S.
Hey, thanks, Dan. Great to be here. Thanks for having us. I'm calling in from London, UK.
Terrific. Well, look, we're thrilled to have you on the show and really interested to dive into this great conversation. So, Kelli and Paras, you're in just the center of this industry and one of the leading firms. And I wonder how you guys are thinking about the challenge of engaging and re-engaging members in loyalty programs, especially against this backdrop of unspent or unused points.
Yeah, this is a really hot topic. Even as an industry, as you mentioned, there are a lot of studies that have taken place. Our marketing team has been very busy with a lot of consumer and other types of research to just validate the need for a very simplistic solution for paying with points. And so by design, Paras and team have created a really great solution that really will drive more reach and frequency for programs to reach all different types of customers, no matter where they are in their lifetime value within their program. So whether they're a new customer, just starting to earn points, or whether they're a mature customer in the program, this really is set up in its most simplistic form to have that reach and frequency, but also solve issues that we're identifying through that consumer research. So one of those things, for instance, is the difficulty or the inability to be able to burn points or miles. Paras, do you have any other comments to that?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, there are a number of challenges around the unspent points and miles. And through research, we can see a list of challenges that members outline. Three of the top challenges that members call out being is that it takes too long to really go through that whole earning and then really redeeming those points. It's too difficult to then actually achieve the points that are required to carry out the redemption, but also it's too difficult to go through the how-tos, the restrictions and the lack of flexibility around redemption. So those are the top three, but we've really looked at, as Kelly just mentioned, we've looked at how we can really face into those challenges that members have and really make that easier and simpler to use those unspent points and thereby unlocking a huge amount of value that is there for the members first and also for the programs in driving engagement from those members. And with that engagement, it's increased activity and it's increased customer lifetime value. And also, we are looking to really unlock a huge amount of value for our retail partners in really delivering reach and frequency to our retail partners as well.
And the point, as I understand it, is, here I've got these points which may have likely have been earned as miles, and the play is to sort of unlock the power of those by making it possible to redeem them at retailers in various places, which presumably, and it sort of addresses, I think, all three of your problems or concerns that you cite, but there's a lower threshold, right? It doesn't have to be as many points necessarily to be able to get something out of it. It might be easier to do. That's essentially the approach that you've taken. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right, Dan. The beauty of the program really is that whether a consumer is just starting in their loyalty journey as a member of a new program, or there are various maturity levels of a member or populations of members within a program, this has the ability to reach all of those phases in that loyalty journey. So consumers can be earning and burning almost immediately. And that's really good for the program engagement, which is, as we know, the name of the game. So especially with banks and bank loyalty programs, they're recognizing that they need a new and refreshed way to bring different value to all of those populations of consumers. And these consumers are looking to participate in e-commerce in more meaningful ways. And so programs are really recognizing that.
Great. And I'll just touch on similar value proposition sides for the travel space as well. So again, we really see challenges around members needing to really build up their points balance, their miles balance. And we're cognizant of the fact that actually, driving that lower and frequent redemptions from members really takes them to that value realization, takes them to that positive experience, really seeds the program to be valuable for the member and really drives the member to carry out more activity. So we're really presenting this proposition where members can access and utilize their points and miles at a much lower threshold.
I'm thinking through scenarios where it makes the loyalty program more competitive. And so the example, it's a little bit of conjecture, but the example I'll use is, Paras, you live in London. I presume you fly in and out of Heathrow and Gatwick, and you've got, I don't know if it's every world airline, but darn near, that would heavily serve your market. Kelly and I happen to live in a place that's dominated principally by one airline, but then you do end up flying other airlines from time to time. And every time you do it from a loyalty points perspective, you kind of in the back of your mind kind of think, well, I'm collecting like some miles on some other airline, but it just doesn't help me that much. And the reason for that, of course, is that in your mind, you think, well, if I don't have at least 20 or 25,000 miles, it just doesn't do me any good, right? It's just worthless. And, whether or not that's really true normally, in this case, right, a much smaller increment would be like, it'd be kind of cool. I could buy something at a retailer. And, the other thing is that you don't always have occasion to book a flight on a certain kind of airline with a certain number of miles. And so you might have a decent number of miles, but just no opportunity to use it. every day is a good day to go shopping, I believe. And so, there's just, it cracks open so many more opportunities to use those points, right?
Yeah, that's definitely right. I mean, you've hit on a couple of interesting points, and one of which is that we have such a broad selection of the ability to pay with points and just those options for what can be paid for. And again, our studies and other studies are showing and suggesting that consumers are looking to tap into everyday brands and equally aspirational brands. But I think that's our strategic selection around the content that rolls into pay with points, the ease of use, and then the ability to establish and start communication right out of the gate. When the customer joins a program, they don't have to wait, to your point, Dan, on those 25,000, 50,000, point threshold or miles thresholds. They can start earning and burning immediately, as we mentioned previously. So we have curated the most recognizable and best brands and content within the pay with points solution that we have. And most consumers may not have ever tried pay with points. In fact, studies have shown that about a third of a population that were surveyed said that they had not tried pay with points yet, but would be interested in experiencing it. And so that's the other thing that we have to take into consideration when we're innovating and creating new products and solutions is back to that, by design, the most simplistic format. How easy is it going to be to use, or difficult will it be for the merchants to execute on those things? So the ability to, almost everybody has used a gift card and knows how to use a gift card. And retailers, no matter what category, there are people already trained to redeem a gift card in store or online. So I think that just the mechanics in and of itself was created in a way that consumers can weed out any confusion and engage immediately.
Paras, I know you have something to share, a new development at Valuedynamx. You've rolled out this capability on a pretty big platform, as I understand it.
We are very pleased to share that Valuedynamx Pay with Points proposition is now live with Emirates Skywards Miles More program across multiple regions, initially covering their top 5 markets, including UAE, UK, USA, India, and Australia. This redemption offering provides a convenient way for Emirates Skywards members to spend their miles earned through flights with Emirates, Fly Dubai, and their partner airlines, as well as non-air spend with lifestyle, retail, and service partners. Through our partnership with Emirates, Valuedynamx has previously powered the online and card-linked earn proposition for lifestyle shopping rewards. This new addition extends a comprehensive and an end-to-end proposition of earning and burning. Emirates Skywards members can now spend in real time with leading retail brands for everyday and aspirational purchases, supported by a seamless digital user interface and user experience, enabling quick and easy browsing and redemption with favored retail brands, using the members' miles balance for spending through digital gift cards as a simple tool and an underlying payment rail. This partnership and the launch demonstrates a mutual commitment to elevating the loyalty experience and providing an out-of-the-box scalable proposition that meets the evolving customer needs, enabling members to realize value in their reward currency for everyday and lifestyle shopping needs across a full range of categories.
Commerce Code is brought to you in part by VantageScore. 9 of the top 10 banks and over 3,000 leading banks and fintechs use VantageScore to predict and manage repayment risk. Learn more about the latest advances in credit scoring and how to grow your lending business by leveraging financial inclusion at VantageScore.com.
Looking at what you've done, and Valuedynamx is such a global organization, have you been seeing, I've kind of learned in doing the work in this field over the years that things can be pretty different from country to country, like consumer response or just the way things are set up, programs. So I wonder if you're seeing global level interest in pay with points? Is that something that's feasible and doable? How's that, how is that market shaping up from your perspective at Valuedynamx? Paras, I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
So we've been working with a number of our clients, and really we understand their requirements. And this builds on something that we've just been talking about as well. It's a very dynamic landscape when it comes to loyalty, and it's a dynamic landscape when it comes to how members and consumers are engaging with retail and e-commerce. And actually, there's a real drive where programs are really wanting to take their proposition forward so that it is relevant at an everyday level. And there are more touch points from the program with their members. That relevancy is extended from their core service offerings to actually being extended across greater range of categories, and thereby delivering more reward to their members across the category set. So what really is being driven across markets is really a need to present the value of the reward program for everyday needs. And with our focus on redemption here, we're really showing the proposition to the members where they can actually come in and look at their purchase needs and use their points and miles value for that everyday purchase need. And what we've looked to do here is we've made some strategic decisions, we've made some principled decisions around really presenting a proposition that is global, that is scalable, and that it unlocks the value for the members, the programs, the merchants, as we discussed earlier, at that global level. So our launch proposition for Pay with Points, it makes clever use of gift card as payment rails. So in fact, the customer journey is for members to come in, browse, and then select the retail brands that fits with their purchase needs. And that could be something that is actually happening as they're out in the mall, or they could be shopping online, but it's real-time browsing, selection, and redemption, which we then present that value of the points or miles into monetary currency value with the use of gift card rails. But the strategic decision actually enables us to deliver a global network of retail brands that are well recognized, that fits with the customer's purchase needs for that everyday or aspirational shopping needs. And it really enables us to deliver to our clients the ability to actually provide a proposition to their members that is truly global, both for kind of home spend needs when they're in their home country, and for a destinational spend need when they're traveling.
Yeah, this makes me think of in my home office, I've got a collection of paper and coin currencies from travels I've done in the past. And it's all stuff that's stranded value. I have some currencies in that pile that literally don't even exist anymore, like French francs and stuff. But, essentially you've got these things, you've traveled, you didn't manage to spend all of your, Norwegian kroner or South African rand or something. And there it is. And really it's just useless, more or less, in medium, small amounts, right? If it was big enough, maybe you'd go to the trouble of going to exchange it. And, that's not unlike, having, who knows how many rump sort of airline points I've got on the dozen different airlines that I've flown a little bit. And what you're doing strikes me as a really potentially powerful method for re-engagement. That's really what it's about, right? And so you're taking people and showing them value that they have, but engaging them in a way that is going to cause them to engage with brands and to think about and engage with the source of those points to begin with. So I think that's all a terrific, opportunity, but it doesn't turn it fully into, and I know that this is kind of an interesting debate in the loyalty world, but it doesn't sort of turn it into a fully fungible, almost fiat currency. It turns it into something that still has connections to key brands and relationships, which I think makes sense. Kelli, we've been talking about pay with points in the global context. What are you seeing in the US that kind of makes this launch particularly important, relevant right now?
We're really seeing a lot of the same things that we are in the global scope of this. But again, industry studies, specifically in the US, indicate that nearly 85% of consumers say they would be interested in paying with points if the option was offered to them. So we take a look at all of the research and development that influences our strategy and where we're headed. We're also having a lot of very interesting conversations in various verticals that are interested in kicking the tires on pay with points and our angle on it, specifically because it does ride on the gift card rails. That is actually very appealing to some of our clients, whether they are in the grocery space or the travel space or whatever vertical that's in, because they're looking at it as a way to drive their customers back into their stores or back onto their website. And to your point, keep that emotional tie with their brand. So it's just very timely and fitting to be having those conversations. And from a technology standpoint, I keep going back to this, but it really is in such a simplistic format by design that when product and other stakeholders are looking at this, they know it's not going to be a massive lift, and it's something that's, very doable in the short term as they look to reach their customers and just get more aggressive. And in such a saturated market of points and miles, we are finding that our clients are saying, hey, we've got a ton of points and miles liability on our books. We need to be engaging our consumers, our customers and members at every level. This is really creating a lot of very positive stir and very interesting conversations.
I love the gift card connection, because sometimes it's the simplest stuff that works really well. And, we're all, whether it's a physical gift card or whether it's a virtual one, I think there's just something about that format, that creates that people understand, they can wrap their head around it. They can think in terms of this is a mental exercise a little bit, but I think me essentially throwing away 12,000 miles on some airline I don't fly that often, in the sense that I've just kind of forgotten about it. You can translate that into dollars and go, well, that's actually a decent amount of money. I would never literally throw away a gift card that had that much value on it, right? Because we just account for it differently in our heads, and it creates a different level of engagement, and absolutely would drive me towards thinking about, well, hey, maybe because you do have, as I always say, you have a choice of airline, right? Just to take that example, you do, almost no matter where you live, and so that could make that choice more real for people in their minds.
Yeah, and the nice thing about gift cards as well is the ease of use, as you mentioned. And anytime you are introducing new technology in your environment for consumers to engage, there's going to be perhaps a slow adoption rate or some education needed or some training needed in store with personnel. But gift cards have been around forever. So all of those concerns go by the wayside. And the program has the ability to kind of reinvent themselves or kind of augment their program as a true everyday destination for the program that otherwise maybe a consumer or a member would be visiting, as you mentioned early on, maybe a handful of times in the year. That
sounds right. And it's just an interesting continuing evolution. Everything in industry is harder than it looks from the outside. I guess the job, especially in the marketing world, is to make stuff look easy. And this has been a great conversation about some incremental steps here that are pretty exciting. The place I want to close, Paras and Kelli, for each of you is I'd love to get a sense of what are you excited about? What's next? And that's at the level of these programs we've been talking about, the work that you're doing at Valuedynamx, but I'm also interested if you have thoughts on this is an evolution. I believe we're in the middle of a continuing, flow towards things that are sort of ever better and better designed. So there's also the what's next, bigger picture in the marketplace. So happy to have either of you start with that.
Yeah, we are consistently enhancing our programs and our roadmap. Our marketing team is out there doing a lot of consumer and other types of research that, again, influence our programs and help us really consult with our current and future clients on, how we can leverage our technology to help them solve their problems and drive more engagement, get points liability off the books. And what we're doing specifically with Pay with Points, it really aligns well with how people are already behaving in their everyday habits. And so when you take that and you merge that into a program where they've got these objectives, it's a really exciting time. And I think we're going to watch this evolve. And I think this will really crack open beyond Valuedynamx sweet spots, if you will, in verticals that we normally play in with travel and hospitality and financial services. This is already cracking open new verticals in grocery and retail. So we're very excited about where this is headed. And I think we'll see an evolution in this most certainly.
I think this as a tool is really enabling the programs to cultivate their members, the cultivate the relationship and affinity that their members have to the program. In addition to kind of the already engaged members, there are multiple segments of members who, as you kind of outlined earlier, Dan, might have some points or miles that they've forgotten about, or actually, for whatever reasons, their reason of activity levels have gone down. And actually, this becomes a really powerful tool to really engage those members and actually have that relationship and build up that relationship over time. So it's built upon that value exchange. And that becomes the point from where actually that relationship can start to really flourish with, the whole further earning and further burning cycles. So yeah, I think the exciting thing here really is about how we can enable programs to see it slightly differently and start to really drive that value to their member base that they already have and new members that come on and enable that new member to really realize that value early with that lower points or miles threshold and really start to see how this enables that cultivation curve.
There's something about found money that's just naturally exciting, right? And we all live in cold places here. And, in the fall, when you pull out the coat that you last wore 6 months before and you find like $5 in it, I mean, that's a much more exciting thing than it probably warrants, right? The $5 that are like free, that are actually were yours all along. You just didn't know they were in the pocket. And this is kind of reminds me of that, right? The unlocking some value for consumer that they honestly just hadn't really thought about, and that they can see in all of a sudden now it's like, oh, well, I assumed that I wasn't going to get much value out of, a flight or a thing that I did. And here it is. I get to have some value, and it might seem small, but as we know, the kind of the emotional connection and the way that we relate to value, kind of especially when it comes in a surprising way, can really motivate people and change their behavior. So I think that's exciting and fun too. Look, this has been a great conversation with both of you. So Paras and Kelli, thank you so much for joining us here on this episode of Commerce Code. And we will, of course, be interested to follow where all the programs at Valuedynamx go next.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks for having us, Dan.
Commerce Code is sponsored by Pentadata, the all-in-one financial data API. Whether it is bank account data, credit card transaction data, or credit reports and credit scores, Pentadata has it all in one simple and easy-to-use API. With coverage of over 6,000 banks, over 200 million credit files, and 60 million merchants, you can get all the data you need for your apps at pentadatainc.com. Commerce Code is a bi-weekly podcast bringing you conversations with executives who are leading the way in digital commerce. If you like Commerce Code, your company should join the Digital Commerce Alliance and become part of our mission of advancing trade for good through standard setting, industry networking, conferences, and best practice sharing. Check out our website at www.digcomall.org. On behalf of DCA, have a great week.